understand the tragedy,
Yeah.
right? And what I'm talking about, extraction and exploitation. So China is a huge market for eggs. They eat 300 million eggs per day.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
300
Million eggs
per day. Now, instead of the government using that information to come and encourage Kenyans
to set up
with that information and make sure, right? Because I can assure you 3.6 billion shillings, if interest rates were not as high as they were, as here we could form a company and go and borrow at 5%.
Yes, now.
Right?
Yes.
And do that and try and find a way of our poultry farm being the supplier of that 300 million.
Eggs.
If we can do it. It's very difficult to get those numbers out of Kenya, but you can start trying.
But you can start somewhere.
Right? Is anybody telling you that?
No, please.
No, the same company is telling you, let foreigners come and do it. Because they don't want to see you.
And you give them the land.
You don't want to see you be the one who does it.
So
because then you're in competition with them.
So explain slowly. So essentially what we are saying here, Jimmy, is you go, you have a conversation with these foreign investors, because there were several foreign investment meetings that the president had in that state visit. So you have a conversation, because I think the name was given, I need to find that, but the name was given as to who would invest this 3.6 billion. So they come here, they set up a poultry farm. Everything having to do with the bird leaves Kenya. So of very little value then is that to Kenya, safer maybe if you give, people around the area a job or two or things like that. But the majority of this investment, the profits of it, leave the country.
Yes, exactly, because it's their investment. Where have you had an investment conference where the Kenya government is encouraging farmers to do poultry farming to export to China? Right? Because empowering you means that you become the competition to this private company called Government of Kenya Extraction Company. That's the way you need to understand it.
That conversation, Jimmy, started and ended with the business parks that were talked about.
Correct.
Pipes.
Correct.
Yes, it started there and it ended there because the theory was the very thing we're saying would have been done within the environment of those business entities.
Yes.
But do they even exist?
No.
Yeah, so.
10 years ago, 2024, there was 2014,
yes,
a year after Uhuru got to power, there was a very big template that was created by the Ministry of Energy, about 5,000 megawatts. Do you remember that?
Yes, there was a lot of hoo-ha about it.
A lot of hoo-ha about private investment in power plants. They went for bidding for 2,000 megawatts. Right? And the view, if you remember, was they were saying they are going to cut the cost from 18 US cents to 9 US cents. Right? Per kilowatt hour. Right? So 2,000 megawatts were going to be added to the grid. As an initial start, they were going to start with fossil fuels, coal and LNG, right? And build up to 5,000 so that we have what you call some stability, right? And as we push the renewable energy. Okay? Those projects never took off. They were actually cancelled. And I want you to understand the principle of it. The government of Kenya was not giving a guarantee. I know this intimately. All they were doing was giving a power purchase agreement. All right? Full stop. And they were giving land in Dongo Kundu and Lamu for the construction. People were bringing in private money. All right? Today, I've done the numbers in terms of what was estimated. Today, you'd be charging electricity at 4 US cents. People would not even care about their electricity bill. It would be like maybe the water bill, even less. Okay? We are now being charged 36 US cents from the 18. So why didn't they take off? Why were they cancelled? And they had bids.
Why?
Because then you're in competition with this private company. That's the thing you need to understand. Right? That's the thing you need to understand.
So the private company needs to go.
It needs to go.
And when
it
we
needs
are
to
talking
get out
about,
of the way, right? So that it's the same one that today has gobbled up 6 trillion in domestic debt. 6 trillion of the 11 is domestic debt.
6 trillion owed to
Kenyans.
Yes. To Kenyan institutions.
Yes.
And Kenyans.
Yes.
In other words. Because
Yes.
it's the bank.
Yes.
It's
the
the
banks,
money, it's the bank.
It's the
that
banks,
bank-
insurance companies, pension funds.
Or
our
if you
money.
gave your money towards T-bills, for
Yes.
example,
Yes,
Six
yes.
essentially
trillion.
what we're talking about is if you give your money towards T-bills,
Yes.
and if we hear from the CS essentially that we're in a little bit of trouble when it comes to domestic debt,
Correct.
that means that your investment on your T-bill for the period will not come.
Correct. It sunk. What did they do with it? They didn't build a bridge. It's not in our laws that they are taking it for any development. It's not even in our laws that they're taking it to pay any salary. It's not in the budget as an expenditure item. It's not there as an expenditure item. So they've taken 6 trillion from us. If that was with us, you would all have your own media. You'd all be media moguls on your own because you'd be borrowing at 2%. So here's the company that took all our money to itself, away from us. And it started in 2013, 2014. Before that, domestic debt was peanuts.
Oh, guy. So, sorry, Jimmy.
So you need to understand, this company is just taking from us. And now when it can't pay its bills, it's coming and taking taxes. Yeah, extracting, and giving us nothing in return.
Does this
And I want you
company-
to understand something very basic, and this is where you must start asking questions, even UCT. Today, we have calculated that if you're earning a salary, all right, like you are paying indirect taxes of about 40%, and indirect of another 18%. So 68% of your income is going towards taxation. What are you getting back for it? If you don't start asking yourself that question, right, then you are not solving any problem for yourself. So you are asking emancipation. Why are we stupid? Why don't we do things? Yes, here you are. You are. You are paying 68% to government. That is 70%.
Please break down that 68% again. I need to understand
So,
it.
depending on your basic income bracket,
Yes.
you're operating direct taxes between 35 to 40%.
40.
All right?
That pay as you earn,
Yeah, yeah.
NSSF,
Everything.
shift,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And we'll call those taxation because at the end of the day, that's what they're becoming.
Yes.
All right? Then you have another 18% of indirect taxes. Every time you pay a power bill, you're paying VAT, you're paying various charges. Anytime you pay for fuel for a car or matatu or whatever, you're still paying all those charges. You must remember that about 53% of the pump price is taxation. All right? So you go on, you buy goods, you do this. It's roughly about 18%. All right? So that is 68%. Okay? Of your money going to government in taxation. Now, what do they give you in return? The same France, which you are saying has the GDP of Africa, right, is known as one of the highest taxed countries in Europe.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
60% is the average taxation, both direct and indirect. Right? But what do you get in return? You get infrastructure, you get security, you get free medical care, free education.
Low cost of living.
Low cost. Well, they don't think
Relative.
so.
Well,
they don't think
think
relative.
so,
Yeah.
but it's relative.
You get unemployment insurance. If you don't have a job,
Somebody's paying you.
somebody's paying you, and you get an amazing pension. So the fight in France is early retirement because you want that pension so you can go and live in the beach.
Yeah.
Okay, it's that good, right? Get away from their winter. Okay, 60%. So here, what do you get? Do you get free healthcare?
No.
Do you get free education?
Healthcare doesn't exist.
No, okay, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
get
do you-
capitation not paid on time.
Not paid on time.
Yes.
Higher. No, but it's not free.
No, it's not free.
Everyone will still tell you
Yes.
there's still other charges.
Yeah.
Higher. Do you get good security?
Where?
Do you get infrastructure? Right. Do you get unemployment insurance? Right. Even pensions, which are a fast charge, are now being defaulted.
So then we can talk about these things, Jimmy, and like we got to connect it to the road that we are currently on, whereby there's so many things happening and folks are asking questions about the Constitution and the rule of law. There's an IEBC that's being put in place, hopefully that'll come into some kind of, commission at some point. And then we will have an election in 2027. But folks are putting themselves up and saying, allow me to lead. But from what we are saying, 75% of the people who are saying put me up for that position are the ones who are swimming in this swamp.
Correct. I fully agree with you. Yeah. And in fact, what you should do is just ask, because, I've been thinking aloud, and I'm not criticizing anybody, but we can point at what they say are the issues, right? So my friend Martha will say, for example, governance is the problem. My friend Kalonzo says corruption.
Corruption, yes.
My friend Regade, I think he talks about Mulima. I don't know how Mulima is the problem or is the problem. Then you have, who else?
He said Ruto is the problem.
No, Ruto says judge me in the elections by my results. So I think the judgment is already out.
Regardless says Ruto is the problem.
Yeah, fine. And Ruto says, judge me. I think everybody says who is opposite Ruto is saying Ruto is a problem.
Right.
In terms of Ruto must go. But that's not the basic problem. It's just a symptom.
Okay.
Right? It's not the original sin, which is what we're now trying to articulate. What is the original sin? He's just but a symptom. And anybody else can feel that. So Ruto says, judge me by my results. I think the jury has already ruled on that.
Okay.
Okay? He has nothing to show anybody. So he's done. Okay? Ruto is done. So judge people by what they are saying. I am saying we have a moment in our history. And if there's anybody who has any doubt, it was brought out by Gen Z last year. They came out and they broke all the barriers. And they said, this thing is not working for us anymore. Taxation without return, economic justice must come one way or another. My friend Omtata talks about accountability. Right? I think Maraga talks about the rule of law.
Rule of law, yes.
Are those the issues? Kenyans will judge. Okay? I am clear. This is about economic justice. This is about our economic emancipation. Once and for all, something that has eluded us for the last 120 years. All right? This is the time we break the shackles of what is holding us. And the way we start is by doing two things. By draining the swamp, by removing this system that is a company. And number two, cutting its umbilical cord to us, which is debt. You cut that thing today, right? And you see a very different Kenya. A very positive Kenya. A country that is headed to greatness. Because that's really our capacity. And you unleash a potential nobody has ever seen from this sub-Saharan continent. An amazing potential of our human resource.
And do we have the folks, do we have the people here to then be able to deliver that baby?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are here, even here, seated here. Yes.
Do I hear to be
3 of us here, 4 of us here. Don't we think that way? Yes.
Me, not entirely. Let me ask, for clarity's sake, do I hear you to be saying that given what the company that you refer to has done, and given where Kenya is as of now, that Kenya is actually a rich country?
Very.
That despite the ravages, the exploitation, it is still standing. It tells you that it is resourceful, it is resourced, but all those resources, or the vast majority of it, is going into the hands of this particular company.
Yes.
Does this company recruit new members?
Yes.
That's what our electoral cycles do.
Yes.
It's a recruiting process.
It's a recruiting process.
For new members.
For new board of directors.
And what about the ones who were there before? Do they ever really go anywhere?
No, they try and keep themselves there. And they keep surrogates. Just the way the owner was keeping them as surrogates.
So it is the same model is what they use.
Absolutely.
You see, City, one would say, as we get into the elections, the most important aspect of it all is to drain the swamp. Fine, we drain the swamp. But then again, for those who have continued to champion this ideology of stealing from the people, as well, action must be taken. Perhaps it's about time that heads started rolling and people went in jail. I mean, South Korea is doing it. Many other countries are doing it. Should that be the direction we take as well?
I think That is our law. If you've broken the law, you should face justice. There's no doubt about it.
For some reason, that
there's no
doesn't
doubt
seem to
about
happen.
it. There's no doubt about it. But did the Mzungu face justice? Were we not told to forgive and forget?
Yes, yes.
Or forgive and don't forget?
So
Where did it begin? Right.
You know, the good thing about the colonialist is that he has given us an eternal excuse for literally everything.
We're just carrying on the same template.
And for some reason, despite evidence that we do have a complement of people who can luckily take this country to the greatness it deserves, when we, the electorate now, come to vote for some really odd reason, the people we always choose to elect are not necessarily the people who will do good by us. Start with our MCAs, go to our MPs,
governors.
Keep going up.
Yes.
Keep going up. Because the track record, which is perhaps manifested best with the current parliament, is that they will do anything and everything other than what is in the interest of those who elected them.
Now, CT, I see why you're saying you're skeptical. I have a lot of hope. And it even came about in the last election. In the last election, you had two camps that formed themselves. Right? It's the first election I've seen people being like us being stopped since multipartyism. They actually went out to make sure there are two camps and they stopped literally everybody. It was shocking.
No, we saw it. We saw it because we saw people being eliminated in that process for
and
no
it's never
apparent
happened
reason.
before.
Yes.
Never happened before. But where was the largest voter? Stayed at home.
Stayed at home.
8 million stayed at home. They did not believe there was a choice. That 8 million, you've seen it transfer to what you saw last year with the Gen Z revolution. If you are to look at those two camps that got 7 million, where do you think a lot of that flock is right now? I don't believe they're with the same flock, with the same people.
So
you're going to find this 8 million has grown, even just out of the figures of 2022, to a phenomenal number that are looking for a different way than the way that was structured in 2022. And a lot of these people you're seeing today were in either one of those camps. All right? I did not vote. I was one of those that stayed at home. Okay? I can assure you, with new voter registration, with that 8 million, plus the ones that are already disenchanted, whether in UDA or Azimio, I can assure you that 8 million is a very huge group. And that is where change comes. And it's a very informed group.
In fact,
and they want to change this game. They don't want those old politics. The legacy politicians, the legacy games, they are not interested. They want a new order, right? They want to know what they're actually getting from a government, what they're getting for existing. And I'll tell you, I've taken the time to try and understand some of these young kids, right? I've been paying some attention to them, listening to them. And I asked at one point, not too long ago, what puts you guys together? You're the young voter that is going to be 65% of the election, 65 minimum. What has put you together? And one young lady who was in university stood up and said, and asked a group, who were quite a number, asked them, how many of you went to boarding school at age 6? And they all put up their hands, but one lady who said that she went at class when she was 9 years old.
Okay.
So they went to primary school, boarding. They went to high school, boarding. So she asked, who brought us up? Our teachers and fellow students. Did you like your teachers? Everybody said no. The most was, we liked one teacher, at best. All right. Did you have hardship? Yes. This lady even showed her hand. I even tried to commit suicide. She's not in the university. Who saved you? My fellow students. Did you know class? No. Did you know religion? No. Did you know tribe? No. You knew how.